Hello and welcome to this week's Council Bluffs News. I'm ZEITNER. What used to be known as the only place to be on a Sunday night, Sunset Speedway in Omaha, Nebraska is now merely a memory. But for those who lived and breathed dirt track racing in the Metro before 2000, it is still so much more. 14 years after the legendary Speedway closed, the Front Stretch Radio Show and ESPN AM 590 come together Wednesday, January 22nd to reminisce with drivers and fans at Quaker Steak and Lube in Council Bluffs. From farmland to a dirt oval surrounded by guardrail and grandstands.
Pretty soon they were having their first race on a Sunday afternoon back in 1957.
Since the start, it developed into one of the most well-known racetracks in southeast Nebraska and southwest Iowa.
It was just a fantastic place to race cars.
Generations of drivers, families, and fans agree, filling Quaker Steak and Lube with memories of the late Speedway on January 22nd.
My mom used to have me on her lap with my 5 brothers and sisters, and when Dad would race, she would jump up and hurrah, and I would fall off the bleachers onto the ground. So, born and raised there.
Gayle Russell's father, Bill Rick, speaks for the ESPN AM 590's Walk Down Sunset Lane, remembering times when he raced in the early years at the track.
It was a super place to be, super people, and I met a tremendous amount of good people. Yep. And I still enjoy it.
Joining Rick on the microphone, longtime dirt track racer Glenn ROBEY raced at Sunset Speedway the first day it opened in 1957.
I did good in the first days.
ROBEY started out well, winning the heat race that determines where a racer starts in the main event, and then going on to win the first night dirt flew at the Speedway.
Back in the early days, it was one class, and that was the modified coupes.
Sunset Speedway kept up with the changing times, adding multiple classes of cars in the 60s and 70s. The track took another turn when the KELLEY family purchased it in 1976.
My parents bought the Speedway when I was 15 years old and we ran it till I was 40.
Former owner and promoter of Sunset Speedway, Craig KELLEY, was known to be one of the toughest officials according to the drivers.
To his credit, ran a very tight ship and a ship that was very successful.
We called things very tight and we upset some people, but I like to think that we called it consistently across the field.
And while drivers won races, eager audiences filled the stands.
The fans made all the tradition of Sunset Speedway really by who they voted for and how they kept it up through the year. I mean, it was a great rivalry between everybody, and we'd all sit here and have a beer like we do now.
A night to remember and reflect on the time under the lights of Sunset Speedway. Sunset Speedway had quite the run, but was short-lived by the growing city of Omaha. In 2000, nearby neighbors of new housing protested against the sound of roaring engines every Sunday night. Despite the track being in place for 43 years, it was forced to close due to the complaints. To learn more about the history of Sunset Speedway, you can check out the Facebook group, I Miss Sunset Speedway - Irvington, Nebraska.